Some say it contains ancient rituals used by secret organizations.
Of these tombs, the most beautiful by far,
Hidden deep beneath Egypt's sands, a mysterious papyrus lay concealed for millennia.
Of course, we didn't know where it was going to go.
Written over 3,000 years ago, its revelations shockingly foretell modern events with eerie precision. But how did ancient Egyptians see into our future?
Greek section could be translated.
So you have the first evidence that pharaohs rode on horseback.
Could they possess knowledge from lost civilizations, extraterrestrial intelligence, or something even darker? Tonight, we'll unlock secrets inscribed in a forgotten script. Secrets that powerful interests sought to bury forever.
Geologists, engineers, surveyors, cartographers, and they were all there in theory. Hieroglyphical obelisk of Theban marble, as hard well nigh as porphyr.
Prepare yourself as we journey into history's greatest prophecy, 20 predictions hidden for centuries, finally brought to light.
Among the many mysteries surrounding the Vatican, there is a secret that seems to have been erased from history.
1. The Tully Papyrus, Egypt's Forbidden Chronicle. In 1933, Vatican archivist Alberto Tully wandered into a dusty antique shop in Cairo. There, hidden among papyrus fragments, he found something peculiar, an ancient scroll, brittle with age, reportedly copied from a document dating back to the reign of Pharaoh Thutmose III, over 3,000 years ago. The text described circles of fire in the sky, objects that shone brighter than the sun, and formations that hovered over the royal palace. The scribes of the court were terrified. Priests prayed. The pharaoh himself reportedly witnessed the event. Then, as suddenly as they appeared, the objects vanished, ascending higher into the heavens. Tully made a transcription, but the original papyrus was never seen again. The Vatican refused further comment. Egyptologists dismissed it as myth. But why? What if the papyrus was never a story, but a report, a record of something real? And if that's true, why was it buried? 2. Thutmose III and the Celestial War. Pharaoh Thutmose III, often called the Napoleon of Egypt, was a conqueror, a strategist, and strangely, a witness. Carvings deep within the Karnak temple detail more than just battles and tributes. They describe something else, fiery discs that roared across the heavens, casting shadows that blotted out the midday sun. Inscriptions claim these objects hovered over the city, causing chaos among the priests and military alike. Offerings were made. Silence followed. No explanation was ever carved again. But Thutmose ordered temples realigned with new stars, stars that had not yet appeared in the sky. Why would a ruler change sacred architecture based on a single night, unless it wasn't just a vision, but a warning? Coincidentally, around the same time, Babylonian tablets record a sky chariot of fire that shattered the Earth's calm. Was the event global? Did ancient leaders know something we've forgotten? Or were they trying to preserve a timeline too strange to explain? Third prophecy of the returning star. Tucked into a faded corner of the Tully Papyrus is a reference often overlooked, the star that returns after the Great Silence. To most, it's poetic nonsense, but to those who study planetary anomalies, it echoes something familiar, the legend of Nibiru, or what modern astronomers call Planet 9. According to Zecharia Sitchin's controversial translations of Sumerian texts, a massive celestial body returns every 3,600 years, bringing cataclysm in its wake. The Tully Papyrus refers to this as the dragon of the sky, whose return reshapes rivers, swallows empires, and blackens the moon. Recent NASA research hints at something strange tugging on Neptune's orbit. Is this mythical planet real and nearing again? And if ancient Egyptians knew of it, why did they encode the warning in metaphor? Were they afraid, or were they silenced? The papyrus doesn't predict when, only that it will return. And when it does, the Earth will walk backwards. 4. The Papyrus and the Ice Vessel Prophecy. In a lesser-known copy of the Tully Papyrus, held briefly in a German private collection during World War II, was a chilling translation. A ship of white pride shall defy the cold ocean. Its song shall be silence beneath frozen death. Cryptic? Yes, until April 1912, when the RMS Titanic sank. The Titanic, hailed as unsinkable, was a triumph of modern engineering. But the prophecy warned of hubris afloat and a mirror of wealth shattered in the sea's teeth. Coincidence or premonition? British scholars briefly debated the translation, but after the war, the copy vanished. Official statements called it a forgery, yet no proof was offered. Is this a case of pattern-seeking or predictive record-keeping? How could a 3,000-year-old document even conceptually describe a steel leviathan? Unless it saw something, was the scribe of the Tully Papyrus recording visions or memories of time that hadn't yet happened? 5. Seshat and the Library of Timelines. In Egyptian mythology, Thoth recorded the present, but it was Seshat, the forgotten goddess of writing, measurement, and time, who chronicled what was yet to come. She was said to inscribe events before they happened, storing them in the House of Life, a vast library beneath the temples of Abydos and Edfu. Some scholars believe the Tully Papyrus was a fragment of that library, a predictive ledger, not a historical one. Recent excavations in Abydos uncovered scroll fragments, blackened with age, that mention the reign of red sands, the war of metal mines, and men who forget the stars. The language is eerily similar to Tully's phrasing. Were these scrolls part of a singular prophetic canon? And if so, where is the rest? Some believe secret societies, even modern intelligence agencies, gained access during 19th century digs. Why would a forgotten goddess's scrolls matter so much unless they told what was coming next? 6. The Oracle of Saqqara. Beneath the step pyramid of Saqqara, archaeologists uncovered a network of chambers once thought to be burial vaults. But in 2018, a French-Egyptian team stumbled upon something stranger, a stone box carved with symbols, never catalogued in traditional hieroglyphics. Inside, they found fragments of a parchment that included references to years of digital fire and a man with a glass eye who rules the world unseen. Critics call it nonsense, but others point to it as a forgotten offshoot of the Tully narrative, another prophecy, this time rooted in technology. Saqqara, after all, was where Imhotep, Egypt's greatest polymath, served. Legend claimed he built machines to see the heavens. The new scroll calls him He Who Touched Time. Were these rooms a sanctuary for knowledge or a vault for warning? And why has this find never been featured in a major academic journal? 7. The Missing Chamber of Thoth. For centuries, whispers surrounded a hidden chamber beneath the Great Sphinx, a room said to house the Scroll of Thoth, a text so powerful it could bend reality. In the 1990s, seismic scans confirmed a rectangular anomaly beneath the Sphinx's paw. Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities denied further exploration, but years later, anonymous photos surfaced online, showing what appeared to be sandstone doors with stars and spiral glyphs matching those in the Tully Papyrus. Some believe the Tully document was a derivative, a copy of an earlier scroll from this missing chamber, a proto-papyrus, one untouched by time. Why was the excavation halted? Why has no modern team been allowed near it since? If this chamber contains the original text, or something far older, who gets to read it? And more importantly, who doesn't? 8. Chronovisor, Vatican's time window. In 2002, Father Francois Brune published a shocking claim that the Vatican possessed a device called the chronovisor, capable of viewing events from both past and future. According to Brune, it was co-developed by scientists and Benedictine monks in the 1950s. But here's the link to Egypt. He claimed the technology was based in part on pre-Christian scrolls, obtained in Cairo in the 1930s. Could this be the same papyrus found by Tully? The Vatican never confirmed the device existed, but leaked documents describe instructions derived from Egyptian schematic symbols, interpreted through acoustic resonance and crystal harmonics. Was the papyrus not a prophecy, but a blueprint? And if the chronovisor worked, even briefly, what did it see? A future we weren't meant to know. 9. The Mirror of Hathor. At the Temple of Dendera lies an anomaly, the Dendera Light. The relief shows figures holding objects resembling modern light bulbs, connected by cables to mysterious devices, while mainstream Egyptology sees symbolism. Alternative researchers argue these are technological artifacts, perhaps even predictive ones. Near these carvings, a scratched inscription in Demotic Egyptian reads, "When the mirror breaks, time will fold." In 1997, a cracked, handheld mirror made of electrum, the metal of the gods, was found beneath the altar of Hathor's sanctuary. Tests showed it had been polished to unnatural perfection, capable of reflecting infrared light. Could the mirror have been symbolic or literal? Was it used in ritual, communication? The Tuli Papyrus makes mention of a sky-bending eye used to see the truth of distant days. Was this the same artifact? And if so, where did it come from? 10. The Priest Who Vanished. In 1897, a British explorer named Walter Ingram documented a curious encounter at a temple near Luxor. He met an old Egyptian priest named Setapenre, who spoke fluent Greek and claimed to guard the last prophecy. He showed Ingram a scroll unlike any he had seen, dark ink on gold-stained papyrus filled with star maps, formulas, and something else, dates. The priest said the scroll predicted the Great War of Skies and the falling of 7 kings in fire. When Ingram returned the next day, the temple was sealed. Locals said it hadn't been open in years. Setapenre? No one had heard of him. Ingram's sketches of the scroll match portions of the Tuli Papyrus, word for word. Was this man a guardian of forbidden prophecy, a time-displaced scholar, or did Ingram witness something else? A moment caught outside of time. 11th. The Twin Pillars of Descent. In 2001, just weeks after the September 11th attacks, a researcher at the Cairo Museum noticed something strange on an ancient stela dated to the 5th dynasty. Amid familiar glyphs, falcons, ankhs, scarabs were 2 tall, rectangular towers, joined at the top by a serpent. The translation was chilling. When the twin pillars fall, the breath of the sky shall scorch the sands of the east. Mainstream Egyptology dismissed it as metaphor, but the carving, known as the Pillars of Sekhmet, had never been translated in that context before. Some now claim it was a veiled prophecy, describing not only the event, but the global wars that followed. In the Tuli Papyrus, a passage reads, "And fire from above will awaken the desert kings." Could these ancient texts, separated by centuries, be describing the same future, or was it our present? 12. The Numbers of the Dead. Ancient Egyptians were obsessed with numbers, but not just for architecture or astrology. One text, linked to the Book of the Dead and partially mirrored in the Tuli Papyrus, refers to the equation of collapse. The scroll describes a cycle of 900 moons and 13 rains that ends with the awakening of dust. Some researchers believe this is a reference to pandemics, particularly those aligning with major cosmic events. In 2020, as COVID-19 swept the globe, one obscure papyrus held in the Louvre, catalogued as E1123, drew attention for its uncanny timing. It predicted a plague of breath, coinciding with the clouded eye of Ra, an ancient description of a solar eclipse that occurred the same year. Is this coincidence or foresight? Could ancient priests have calculated not just lunar phases, but planetary alignments that trigger global cycles? And if they predicted one pandemic, what other equations have yet to unfold? 13. The papyrus that spoke of AI. Buried within the Tuli fragments is a strange phrase: "The minds of fire shall mimic the gods, and the people will kneel to their image." At first glance, poetic nonsense, but in the age of artificial intelligence, it takes on chilling meaning. In 2023, a tech researcher translated obscure hieratic glyphs on a recovered scroll from Heliopolis. It described minds with no breath, learning without end, and a godless voice from stone. The text warned of idols made by man, speaking with the voice of Ra, but without heart. Could this be a warning against AI thousands of years before it existed? Some now argue these passages reflect a fear, not of machines, but of consciousness without soul, the kind we build but cannot control. The papyrus ends with a final sentence, almost whispered, and the makers will forget their name. 14. The sky writing over Giza. In 1977, during an unusually bright meteor shower, multiple witnesses, including military officers, claimed they saw strange symbols in the sky above the Giza Plateau. The lights, blue-white and flickering, formed what some described as moving hieroglyphs. Photographs exist, but are grainy and inconclusive. The Egyptian government called it atmospheric illusion. Still, older records from the Tuli Papyrus mention a night when the gods wrote their return in the stars. Could these incidents be linked? Was the Tuli Papyrus not predicting an event, but repeating one? Some theorists believe Giza is a message board, a cosmic beacon activated during solar alignments. In 2021, another unexplained flash lit up the sky over the plateau, just as Sirius rose behind the pyramids, an event long sacred to the ancients. What are we not seeing with our eyes that they saw with their minds? 15. The Pharaoh and the Time Machine. One of the strangest rumors whispered through occult circles is that Ramses II never died, that he stepped into a device described in a now-lost papyrus, a chariot of mirrors moving faster than the falcon. The idea seems absurd, until one considers that Ramses' mummy was flown to Paris in 1976 and granted a passport that listed his occupation as king, deceased. Why such ceremony? According to fringe Egyptologists, a second sarcophagus, identical to Ramses', was found beneath the Ramesseum, but it was empty, save for a mirror, 2 copper rods, and a parchment burned black. The Tuli Papyrus, too, mentions a king who walked beyond time before death found him. Was Ramses one of them? Was the mirror a metaphor or a machine? 16. The Papyrus Purge of Augustus. In 18 BCE, Emperor Augustus issued a peculiar edict. All foreign prophetic texts entering Rome, especially Egyptian scrolls, were to be destroyed or locked in the Sibylline vaults. The order followed a private meeting with priests from Heliopolis, who had presented him with a scroll said to show Rome's end by fire and sea. Augustus burned most Egyptian writings he could find, but one scroll, reportedly titled The Testament of the Falcon, vanished from public record. Some say it was written in the same hand as the Tuli Papyrus. Why would an emperor fear ink on papyrus? One theory claims the scroll included future rulers by name, including a prince of the Isles who would wear laurel but fall to the thunderstone. Was it prophecy or precision? If Augustus tried to erase it, what truth was buried with it? 17. The Sphinx and the Cipher of Dust. In 2022, during a LiDAR scan beneath the Sphinx, researchers found a buried limestone tablet inscribed with characters that didn't match known hieroglyphs. AI analysis revealed a repeating sequence, a code. When translated phonetically using the Tuli Papyrus as a cipher key, the message read, "The lion waits until the sun returns backwards." Most dismissed it as poetic gibberish, but astrophysicists have recently confirmed a rare solar phenomenon occurring every 12,000 years, a geomagnetic reversal, which the ancients might have interpreted as the sun turning. Could the Sphinx, with its leonine body, be more than a monument? The Tuli scroll refers cryptically to a lion of stone that sings only once. Was this song a warning system or a countdown? 18. The Flight of the Black Disk. In 1949, British pilot Charles Whiting claimed he flew over the Valley of the Kings during a training exercise and encountered what he described as a black disk the size of a battleship, hovering silently. His co-pilot reported equipment failure and memory loss after the incident. Years later, a passage from the Thule Papyrus surfaced that describes a disk of obsidian that halted the wind and erased the minds of those below. Could this be the same phenomenon? The Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities never addressed the claim, but strange electromagnetic readings were later recorded in that airspace, enough to disrupt GPS even today. If the disk was real, what was its purpose? A guardian of the valley, or something older, waiting? 19. The one who predicted the end. One scroll, referenced but never fully revealed, was reportedly hidden in the tomb of a forgotten priest named Menka-Ra. His writings, later found in fragments near Luxor, described the days of 9 suns, machines without voice, and the final thunder of time. The last line chilled even the most hardened archaeologists. And on the day the sands weep, the sky will open, and memory shall burn. It was dismissed as apocalyptic ranting. But when desert rainfall destroyed part of the Luxor ruins in 2018, something unseen in centuries, many began to revisit the prophecy. Could this priest have seen a future environmental collapse or a technological reckoning? And why was his name erased from official king lists? What did Menka-Ra see that no one else was allowed to remember? The 20th line of the papyrus. The Thule Papyrus ends with a single, incomplete phrase, and then it shall begin again, when the final glyph is missing, torn, burned, or perhaps deliberately erased. Some say it was meant to read, "When the watchers return." Others believe it said, "When the code is broken." Still others claim it warned of the moment we rediscovered it. Since its discovery, the world has changed exponentially. Skies filled with drones, minds reshaped by machines, suns captured on satellites. Was the papyrus warning us, preparing us, or was it part of the loop all along? We never saw the ending, but maybe, just maybe, we're living it. What if the Thule Papyrus wasn't prophecy, but memory, a fragment of a repeating cycle, glimpsed by ancient eyes and feared by modern minds? These stories weren't taught in schools. They were buried, dismissed, erased. But why? Because truth, when told too early, sounds like madness. As timelines fold, technology awakens, and ancient warnings echo louder than ever. One question remains. Did the ancients predict the future, or did they live it before? Now, it's your move. What will you choose to forget, and what will you dare to remember?